Good afternoon, America. Well, good afternoon to the world. Well, I shouldn't say good afternoon to the world. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I know in some places right now it is the wee hours in the morning. I also know it's the wee afternoon for people like John and I. He's early afternoon. I'm mid afternoon right now because he's around 1. I'm 3. But this show is really more tailored for this. Now, don't get me wrong; you can listen to it all around the world, and we're happy that you do. And right now, I think it goes out. Last time I checked, it was last week, and it was going out to 81 countries. So, I mean, I'm happy to everyone who listens to it. Don't get me wrong, but really, these are American authors. Now, if you've got authors that are overseas, which we will have a few of those coming and going, along with other people. But if you have someone in particular, just write to us and we'll find. And if, let me do it this way. I always tell people the same way. When you have a guest that you really, 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 really want somebody to interview on the network, it doesn't even matter who it is. Send their name and any contact information you can get on them, whether it's snail mail, email, telephone, anything you can get to them, because then at least we can try to contact them. And if you happen to know the individual, then you can also tell them, about spots that they could be interviewed on. Well, currently right now you can be interviewed on about 30 shows, 30, 34 shows, depending on what you're talking about. But anyway, I want to welcome everyone to the Author's Quill. I really do hope everyone's having a good afternoon on Saturday and having some fun and enjoying life and relaxing from the 2 weeks of holidays and craziness and freaked out no nutsoid peoples. Look, people, I live in the South. I thought people in the South were nuts until I went out to L.A. Pfft, we ain't got nothing on them. And I thought people in L.A. was nuts until I went to New York. Shit, L.A. ain't got nothing on New York. Then I'm like, okay, nobody can be crazy in New York. And then I went to D.C. I was like, oh my God, I'm telling you, it just gets progressively worse around the circle. I haven't been to Hong Kong, and I'm sure it is worse, but I haven't been there. But anyway, I have John Goodwin with me tonight, and Dean Wesley Smith is supposed to be joining us. We'll see if we get him or not. He's a busy man. I was reading through his biography a little while ago. 200 novels and 40 years. So that's 5 novels a year. Plus, he's writing all kind of other stuff while I want to know how he does it.
Yeah, he's an amazingly prolific guy. He was we first connected up with Dean when he went from being a pro golfer, and he had to go on the pro golf circuit in Southern California. Then he went because he didn't see that it was really going where to writing, and he really had a love for that. And so he entered it and won the Writers of the Future, or he was published in the first volume of Writers of the Future way back in 1985. And that's like the launch of his career. And he went to a workshop later, I think that same year or the following year. And that's where he met Chris Rusch. It was the first documented romance of Writers of the Future. That's where he met her at a workshop, and they've been together since. And just a super nice guy. He's a contest judge. He's written.
Oh, he's fun to talk to.
Yeah, he's a ghostwriter for a lot of major New York Times best-selling books that he actually wrote under other people's names.
Yep.
And
well, I didn't even know when I was going through. I was actually on his website. I had gone by Wikipedia, and I said, you know what? I said, I know he's got a website, so I looked his website up, and I was on his website. I mean, he's written a lot of stuff. I mean, he's got Star Trek novels. He's got Marvel. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff he's written. And the more I look, the more I realize some of this stuff is actually stuff I'm familiar with. Because some of the writers I meet at Writers of the Future, I'm not familiar with their works, and some I'm very, very familiar with. It just depends who it is.
Yeah. And
then I didn't realize how some of it played out with different names until I actually met them, and then I realized that it was the way it was. But I mean, I've only ever met one other writer like him, and that was Nick Redfern, because he writes 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and I think he's got like 160 or 180 books out. And I don't know how, and in shorter time than Dean has too, by the way. I don't know how you do it. Of course, I'm trying to get one done. I'm on year 3
Dean's
now.
got a monthly magazine that he publishes, where he writes everything. It's about 70 to 100,000 words a month that he publishes in his magazine as well.
Well, I'm on the thing where his opinions and writings are, and the more you look around on here, the more stuff you find. Thunder Mountain, Cedar's Universe, Ghosts of Chance, Purple Boy, the gold poker game. Now this is just stuff he writes. This is one of these series novels is what he's reading.
Yeah.
and I just found it kind of strange on there. And I mean, it just goes on and on. See, I didn't even know he was involved with the 10th Kingdom, and and his wife was. I didn't even know she even wrote.
Oh, she's massively prolific.
Yes. So, I mean, here you got two of them just writing across the country. I would like to learn how to write. I know it's never going to happen, so I'm not going to make myself crazy. But, uh, all right, who's talking to us?
I was just trying to call Dean, just say, but it went to voicemail. So,
oh, I thought I heard somebody else talking. That was weird.
No, it was his voicemail kicking in.
Hello, I am Dean. How are you tonight? No, we'll if we don't get him tonight, guys, we'll get him on. But he's a lot of fun to talk to, and I spent quite a bit of time with him and Kevin Anderson this year, at last year, I should say, at Writers of the Future. Learned quite a lot about both of them too. Not much I could tell y'all here, but still, I did. When you actually can sit down and talk with somebody where there's no pressure. And you're just sitting around like we were sitting around. We weren't even drinking. I think he was drinking a Coke. I think I was drinking a root beer or something.
Yeah.
And I don't think Kevin was drinking. He was there talking about his boyfriend Rush, and then Dean was swapping stories with him. I was just sitting there listening, which is rare for me just to shut up and just listen. And I mean, it does happen, but it is rare. But it does happen when I find something interesting or something that it's worth listening to. I'll stop and listen. But and it was a very good conversation, very light. Well, I don't want to say it was lighthearted because it was pretty heavy-hearted because what's his name had cancer, the lead singer for Rush. But
yeah,
listening to the whole thing was just insane, an insane conversation, and it's a very personal conversation. It was just nice that they sat there and let me listen. Guys, y'all can go. Let me see. What do we have? We have 3 Facebook pages, 2 YouTube pages, Twitch, Roku, and Twitter open. So you can pop in on any one of those you want and listen on anyone, or you can chat that way. It's easy if you want to chat. I mean, you can send me through my messenger. I don't mind, but why don't one of y'all, and I said this the other night, and didn't it work better on Friday night when y'all opened one room and everybody just piled into one? Yes, because what happens is, like Clara pop, so I have a balloon pop here and then a balloon pop here and a balloon pop. Next thing I know, half my screen is messenger boxes. That's irritating. I'd either rather y'all use the 8 chat rooms we already have or the 7 chat rooms we already have, or just make one. Maybe, you know what I might start doing? For every show, I might just start opening a messenger. I'll just put like the author's Quill, the news and the flip side, of UFO on the cover, or Science and Beyond. Speaking of that, we might not have Science and Beyond. Somebody offered to buy it from me today. So it's in negotiations. Every now and then we sell a show or we sell a web page or we sell. You know what amazes me is I've sold 11 Facebook pages. Who the hell you'd have never thought anybody wanted to buy Facebook pages?
Sure.
Dean must have got stuck or something. I seen him pop in for a minute, but then he popped back out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We'll wait for him to come back.
I had an interview I just did. This week's podcast that's posted on Rise to Future is a guy named Alex Schwartzman. English was his 3rd language. He's from Wesley Smith. Hey Dean, did you get the link?
He's talking to Dean, guys. Yeah, the guest, whoever wrote that was a dumbass.
Okay, so he said he can see us, but he can't. Joe, he says he can see us, but he's not able to get in. He thought.
Tell him pop in, and I'll drag him in manually.
So just pop in, and he'll drag you in. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just drag him up to. There he is. All right, Ed.
Okay, he sees you. Oh, good.
Now we got you. We got you now, Dean. Okay, bye. All right, there he is. Oh, there's a good-looking fella, man. Damn. He's
probably not.
It's Dean, Tom, and myself. We the 3 best looking guys. Right? Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, we hear you now.
Can you hear us?
Can't hear me yet, huh?
No, we can hear you. He can't hear us. We can hear you. You just can't hear us. I wonder what he's got off. Something's off.
Can't figure out how to turn in sound.
It ain't this. Can I text him? Where is private chat?
Okay, can you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you hear me, Dean.
You're in the show.
We can.
What's that?
Go to your settings.
Right there.
Over here.
Right here.
I see the side of Chris.
Audio.
The boss, the tech's in. Actually, Dean's great. When we get him on, we'll talk about it. Oh no, he's the only other person there with long hair.
Shows me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see him. You might call him and tell him that we can hear him. He just can't hear us. There's something wrong with his hearing coming in, because I hear him just fine. Christopher. Yeah, no, he is.
Yeah,
he's all over the place.
No.
We hear you fine.
Okay, you can hear me? I can't hear you guys at all.
Okay, so if you go to the bottom of settings,
Yep.
here, click on that, and you have and then it goes to audio.
Yep. Did that.
And then hi, Chris.
Hi, how long is this interview supposed to last?
An hour.
It's an hour.
Okay, so I'm there.
Then you should have your microphone and
Yep, got it.
So your speaker should be your default to your computer, unless you have headphones.
No, I don't have headphones. Stereo. Hang on. I will put headphones on.
It says internal speakers.
Does it say internal speaker?
Yeah, it does.
Then make sure your volume is up then on your laptop.
There it is.
There it is. Ah, that's it. Okay.
Okay, good. All right.
The world of technology is always so much fun.
All right,
Hey,
guys.
man, how you been, Dean?
Good.
Yeah.
It was a whole different world there. Doing
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, they've got these technologies now instead of having to get all crazy with the phone lines and like we used to have in the old days with the hybrid boxes and all kind of squeaky, noisy shit. Today it's nice and clean and works much better.
Yeah, sorry I was late there. I had my schedule here at 3 to 5. So
yeah. Well, the show goes 2 hours, so you can stay as long as you want, half hour, an
I
hour.
only went for an hour, you said. So
Oh well.
okay, whatever you need.
I'm only an hour. You're 2 hours. Okay, I understand.
He's got a boss that keeps a tight leash on him. We're not going to mention no names, Emily. We're not mentioning no names, Emily. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're actually talking about John's wife, Emily. She's a sweetheart. Yes, no, she really is. I wouldn't make her mad, but she's a sweetheart. She really is. Hey, well, anyway, we're not going there tonight. Y'all go bug John some other time. Come down to California and bug you. So
this is our time with Dean now. So hello, Dean.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Give him a proper intro, John, since you're here.
Okay, so we spent the first 5 minutes talking about all the amazing feats and wonders of Dean Wesley Smith, but he was originally a pro golfer. You had Arnold Palmer, then you had Dean Wesley Smith just below him.
No.
Or maybe not. But then
I was a trunk slammer. That's what they called us back in those days. You know, you'd go try to qualify for the tournament and then throw your clubs in the trunk, slam, and head for the next tournament. I was a trunk slammer. Never did much out there, except tried. I was out there for quite a bit. But
hey, look, when I shot a par 70, I was just happy.
At a Palm Springs club too. You're the resident pro there for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you definitely had that. But either my acquaintance with Dean started shortly after. I wasn't there in volume 1, but he was the first person on the stage at Rise of Future to be presented his certificate from at that point. You had some great story about that in the article that you wrote that's going to be published in volume 40. But the people that he met was like, that's one thing that's really cool about Rise of Future is the ability for the winners to meet literally the who's who of science fiction and fantasy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was pretty startling, to be honest with you, to see all those. Am I echoing wrong or something? It's startling to see all those big names. That was the real thrill. And then there was a party afterwards, after the ceremony, and we were all in one big suite type of thing, and actually got to talk to a lot of them. Jack Williamson is the one that I remember the most. He was fantastic. He ended up becoming one of my mentors and a real good friend.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, tremendously.
So, anyway, Dean's gone on to write about 13 jillion words. Published about
Pretty close.
14
Yeah,
million
from what I was reading,
short
at
stories.
least that many. Lord have mercy. So,
Yep.
so what are you pushing? I know it says on your website it says 200 novels in 40 years. So that's at least 5 a year, right? I mean, are you? I mean, I'm just rounding off is what I'm doing, but
The first years were pretty much nothing.
so
You
it's
know,
more than 5 a year. Okay.
yeah. It's my biggest year in traditional publishing, working with the big publishers when there were a lot of big publishers back in the old days of traditional publishing. I published 13 novels with them, all of them, the 90 to 120,000 word novels in 1 year. Of course, that was under a bunch of names because, most publishers only want 1 or 2 novels from a writer in a year.
Right.
That they try to really slow you down. And so that was the kind of thing that I did. Was always doing lots of work on pen names. I ghosted a bunch of books for big name writers that were, first to say the least, were when they couldn't get a book in, the publishers would come to me and hire me to write the book for the big name writer. And so, I did everything back in those days. And then when indie publishing came along, I switched over. And Chris and I own our own company now with a bunch of employees up in Oregon, and we're publishing books like crazy.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. If you
I did in my 70th year, I had some fun. I decided, well, I'm gonna, Asimov's, when he counted all of his books, he counted anything that he wrote and that he, edited or that was a collection. Those are how he got to his, book count of 500 to 600 books. And a lot of the books that he counted were Marty Greenberg. I don't know if you guys remember Marty Greenberg, but he was techno books. And Marty Greenberg would put an anthology together, and then Asimov would do the introduction, and Asimov would count that book. And so, I said, no, if I do major work on the book, meaning if I edit it like an issue of Pulp House or an anthology, I count it with my name as big on the cover as the editor, or if I wrote it, or if it's one of my own collections. That's what I count as a major book. And in my 70th year, I decided, well, I'm going to do 70. And so I published 70 major books in my 70th year.
Damn.
And so just, I think I damaged my employees a little bit.
I bet. Shit, 70 books a year.
But,
oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy. Now I'm starting to talk about 75 for my 75th year.
Oh man.
Wow.
And so, but that's major books, either novels or collections or something I edited. Like I have my own magazine. Can I show you my own magazine?
Yeah. Bring it out there. You can show anything you want.
Yeah. I got, like here's an issue. This is 65. And where do I put it there? Yeah. This is number 65. It's 70,000 words a month of my fiction.
What? For some reason, that cover looks really familiar to me. What's in that?
It's a piece of art I put on a thing called Weird Crime Collection. It was one of my collections, and I thought, well, I'll just feature it.
I guess I've seen it somewhere before. That's
weird.
It
probably has. Like here's one for a Poker Boy collection.
Yeah. I was reading about your Poker Boy just a little while ago.
Yeah. Well, he's got that short story. He did one of his stories in Rise of the Future a few years ago with your. I thought you had. Oh no, it was not the Poker Boy. It was the other. It was the other guy, the investigator, the inspector.
Yeah, that was one of my series is Tate, and that was a fun story.
Yeah, it was
the Bob Eggleton cover.
Yeah.
So not to get too personal here, but how old were you when you really started writing? I mean, when you sat in and said, "Okay,"
I sold my first short story 50 years ago this year. First two.
So you were a baby, okay?
No, I was 20. I had already been a professional golfer, and I'd already been a professional skier, and I was back in college, and some English class that I was an architecture major, and some English class that I had to take forced me to mail a poem out. Actually, it was 3 poems to a contest, and I would take classes that if they had multiple choice. I would never take an essay class. I hated to write. And I was 23, 24 at that time. I hated to write. Would never do essays, would never do anything like that. And couldn't type, couldn't spell, couldn't do anything. Just horrid. And they forced me to mail these 3 poems to this contest. And it turns out that I have a very commercial mindset. And so these poems that I sent out, one of them ended up winning this national contest, which they had never had anybody even place in it before from that university. And so I ended up winning the whole contest as an architecture major.
They must have been going, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and that did not set well with the English department, as you can imagine. And so I thought, well, that's kind of fun. And I made a little money. And so I started sending out more poems and more stuff. And then one day I thought, well, I just, what the heck, I'll write a short story here. And so I wrote a short story, sent it off, sold it, because I followed Heinlein's rules, but I didn't know they were Heinlein's rules at that point. I just wrote it, finished it, mailed it, and didn't rewrite it. And I sold it to a major science fiction magazine at the time. And then I thought, well, that's kind of fun. I wrote another one, same method, and just typing. There was a lot of whiteout on those pages because it was on a typewriter.
Yeah.
And sold it. And then I decided, well, I better start learning how to write. And that was a 6-year mistake right there. That took 6 years out of my life. So I started rewriting everything, writing slower because that's what they said you had to do. You have to rewrite everything, which the first 2 stories I'd sold didn't dawn on me. I'd never rewritten them. And so I didn't sell anything for 6 years after that. And it wasn't until I ran across Heinlein's rules, which are write, finish what you write, don't rewrite, put it on the market and leave it on the market. 5 simple rules. And once I caught Heinlein's rules and then read Ray Bradbury's book, who never rewrote and did other things like that, I'm like, what am I doing listening to English teachers when I should be listening to the pros?
Yep.
And
Hubbard never rewrote.
Yep. And
that makes sense to me because
Hubbard never rewrote anything.
The first story is probably going to be the good story. I mean, why screw with it?
Well, you've got a great story on that. You great analogy on that on rocks on gems. You got that great story on that, Dean.
On the what?
About gems. When you go start polishing them.
Oh yeah. Oh no, if you polish a story, rewriting it and all that, it becomes just like everybody else's. And I didn't realize that that's a bad thing until I started editing numbers of years later. I mean, I'd already found Heinlein's rules. I'd been selling a lot. And then Chris and I started Pulp House Publishing. And what occurred was I started paying attention to the stories that were coming in. And I could tell almost instantly if it had been rewritten, like I had been doing for those 6 years, if it had been rewritten to death. And boy, you don't want to do that because it makes your story same and dull and boring because you're writing it from the front of your brain versus the really smart part, the back of your brain. And so
that's been the hardest part for me is rereading. I just said, F it. I did.
Well, I'm so damn well. When you write as much as I do, you don't want to spend time. I never look at my stories. I finish it when it's done. I never look at it again. Never look at my novels.
Well, that actually makes sense to me because I noticed. So when the second year I was at Writers of the Future, I wrote, I think it was 12 or 13,000 words while I was there. And when I got home and actually read it, I was like, this is pretty good. So the second year I tried doing it, well, I kept stopping myself, mainly because my spelling isn't what it was when I was young. So I just kept stopping myself. And I'm like, Joe, just leave it. Just write the damn thing. And you're actually the one that told me that. I asked you that downstairs at the bar, and you said, no, just write the thing. And it was right. And after I did that, it was fine. So now since then, I've got 67,800 words. And this is day 4.5. This is an 11-day story, so I have no idea what this is going to turn out to. And I don't even know if it's going to be any good. But hey, I'm learning a lot of stuff.
Don't judge your own work.
Oh no, I'm not going to.
No writer is the best judge of their own work. We all think our work sucks, could be improved, all that sort of stuff. We all believe that, and so the reality is that if we start judging our own work, that's when this front part of the brain, the really stupid part of the brain, comes in. Because the creative voice is the smart part, the stupid part's up front, and once that comes in, then you start polishing it down and you take out all the good stuff. What you think is boring is probably your author voice. You can't see your own author voice. And so therefore you think, oh, that's kind of boring, I'll take that out. And what you've just done is taken out what makes the story unique to you. It's difficult at best.
It wouldn't have been for y'all's group, I don't think I would have ever started writing anything. And people have been asking me now for 2 decades to put out a book on some of the stuff, the work that I do. And I'm like, no, I just can't write. Even though I have the outline of 3 whole books sitting there. But finally hanging out with y'all, there was just little things I just didn't understand until I listened, sitting in the classes with y'all. Like the first year I was there listening to you and what's his name? And McCaffrey's son. What's his? Why can't I remember his first name? Todd. And you think I'd remember as many times as I've talked to him. And I was listening to y'all, and then later on I was listening to Tim. And my problem's always been the filler stuff. I didn't understand how it worked. I didn't know how do you go from point A to point B to point C to point D where all the good information is. I just didn't have no clue. I was lost. It's like when a book opens up walking down the street in the pretty sunshine, blah blah blah. That was I just couldn't do that. It just was not in my brain. And then after listening to y'all, I realized, oh shit, I'm going about it entirely the wrong way. That's why I can't do it. Y'all, it's a shame.
See, the thing, Joe, is it is in your brain. That's the key. Is you've been a reader your whole life,
yes,
and been taking story in and everything else. So it's back here in the back of your brain. It's in your subconscious. You just got to trust it to let it come out. It knows what it's doing. The front part of your brain may be in doubt and in question, and I don't know how to do that from the front part, but the back part knows how.
No,
and,
I agree.
And if you trust the back part,
for some reason, I just have trouble trusting it. I should, because I do live radio all the time and live TV, so I have to trust what I'm saying. So you'd think it would be easier for me. I guess my confidence level though gets a little bit better each time. So maybe
that's all of us.
That's all. Part of it too is like at the beginning, you had to build your voice at the start of your writing, Dean. You had to do that once you got your voice, and that's where some of the authors you're referring to, some of them, and then also there's others who said that 500,000 to 1 million words to develop your own voice and not just emulate or mimic. Right. But once you have that, then there's like you said, the schools, the writing schools, writing class at university and high school, where you need to polish and polish. I know Hubbard has this one story when he taught at a class. He was a guest speaker at, I think it was Harvard, at the creative writing class, and they were writing their short story for the semester. And he was, and so he was going in there and saying, you need to. He's giving these numbers, but he said you got to throw away your first 500,000 words, and they were just like in shock what he was saying. About writing and the amount of work that how much he was able, because he was writing 100,000 words a month, but he was writing three hours a day, 3 days, 5 hours a day, 3 days a week. So it was like you just wrote, but he built up his voice on that. And you're not unique, but you're more vocal about just writing a story and just submitting it. Whereas so many people have bought into that. No, you've got to revise and revise and revise and revise. And then they take a year, 2 years to write a story. And even in Hubbard's last interview, he says, I don't think people take that long. I think they write the story. Then they just, then they keep on messing around with it. But the story itself can be written fast.
Yeah, there's a reason for that in modern publishing. And why. I mean, Lawrence Block calls his profession exactly right. He says it's telling lies for fun and profit. That's right. That's Lawrence Block saying, and it's the name of one of his writing books actually too. And the reality is that when you have a reader that wants to pick up a $30 hardback of your novel, the reader subconsciously has gone through everything that the writer's gone through in their life. They've gone through English classes, they've gone through everything else to become literate, to want to read that book. And they have the same belief system that a book must be struggled over, it must be rewritten 100 times before it can be any good, even though that would kill the book, that sort of stuff. So the top writers, the Kuntzes, the Kings, the Noras, all of them, they keep their mouth shut about their actual writing process. They never talk about it. And one of the things that happens is that when they go out to signings and lectures and stuff, and the audience is their fans, the people who are going to spend $30 each to buy their new books or their new books over the next, and so they have to tell that audience what the audience wants to hear, that they really struggled over that book. They really rewrote it a lot. That's why, and Hemingway was the worst example of this. He basically was an article writer, a magazine writer.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, he banged out first draft magazine articles on a typewriter, literally to deadline. That's how he wrote. That's how he wrote Old Man and the Sea, which won the Pulitzer and everything else. But he got so tired of the questions and all the stuff of the belief systems that he started telling people, oh, I rewrite 30 and 40 times. No.
Yeah. Every time he hit a fifth.
He
Yeah.
never did anything like that. And then he, for one day, at one point, just because he got tired of questions, some young person, asked him, well, how do you write? And he says, I write standing up. And of course, you go to anywhere like his, the remnants of there's a typewriter and a chair. He didn't write standing up, but he was just screwing with people. Well, the big name writers of today don't screw with people, but they do lie. They do exaggerate. They figure that their own writing process is their business, and they will tell the readers what they need to hear so that the readers will feel confident spending $30. And that's where why this myth is impossible to break. And people like me who don't care.
Yeah.
I am teaching writers. We have a lot of classes at WMG. We do a lot of classes and basically we tell writers the truth of how it's really done. Now, whether they want to accept the truth or whether they want to believe the myth, that's up to them. But we tell them the truth about writing, and so Chris and I have been believers of, we've been around 50 years now. I sold my first short story 50 years ago. What can anybody do to me? You either buy my books because you like them or you don't like them.
Yeah.
And you probably read hundreds of or maybe 50 of my books and don't even know you've read them.
Yeah, going through all your penning, I guess that's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, you do seem to have a just all over the place. So while we're on that, I mean, what are your favorite genres? I mean, is it just something particular you have to write in, or it's whatever comes into your brain, or are you just looking for things that just, hey, I'm going to write about this?
I'm a lot like Hubbard. I write what I want to write at the moment I want to write it.
Well, that's the way to be.
And it just, again, I don't have any restrictions. I can write and publish what I want to write and publish. And it's an enormous freedom. Hubbard got to a level back in the pulp era where he was exactly that same way. He could write what he wants to write. He got hired by magazines to write stories for them. But by and large, write what I want to write. I started off in science fiction and fantasy and horror. Actually, I was a horror writer to start with, frighteningly enough. No pun intended. There was basically I just started off writing horrific. My first two short stories were horror stories. And my first novel was it has fantasy in it, science fiction in it, and it was published as a science fiction novel, and it was on the final ballot of the Stoker Award for the best novel of the year.
That's pretty cool.
I just kind of go down these cracks between all the genres and all that.
Well, that's where you got to feel comfortable. Because sometimes I feel like people pigeonhole themselves
Oh
when they
yeah.
say, "I can only write here. I can only write here." And I'm like, "Well, no. If you're a good author, you could probably write anywhere. I mean, if you've got the talent, you've got the talent." I just because I've interviewed now probably not even including the Writer of the Futures authors, probably well over 200 authors, and if you include them, probably over 250. And I always ask that question, and almost with the exception of you and maybe three other people, I always get an answer like, "Oh, I like to write this. Oh, I like to write crime novels. Oh, I like to write science fiction," and they just seem to stay there. And I'm always thinking to myself, because I don't want to be rude, but I'm always thinking to myself, if you can write really good science fiction, why can't you write something else? Maybe like a World War II novel. I mean, you just remove the aliens and put the humans there. Because I know that's what Gene Roddenberry did, because he used to write Westerns before he wrote Star Trek. And so, I mean, basically that's all he did is take the cowboys out and take the Indians out and put the aliens there. I mean, the stories were basically the same thing. Let me teach you a little lesson in every story. So I went back and watched a bunch of his Westerns just to see if I was right. And it's kind of weird. If you watch about 30 or 40, you kind of get the sense of, wow, somehow or another, this kind of feels like Star Trek.
Well,
People, you'll have to go look for yourself.
Now, though, too, like Dean is segueing over from an earlier era where in bookstores, you do get pegged in a bookstore to that pigeonhole, because like
you can see
they
that.
can't spread you all over. So the author you're going to be in science fiction, and that's the problem I used to run into with Hubbard, because we had his nonfiction self-help with Dynetics. We had the nonfiction self-improvement, like with Clear Body, Clear Mind, and nonfiction religion with Scientology. But then we also had Battlefield Earth. We had Fear, which is horror. We had his adventure stories. So we had all these different things. And so they go like, where do we put them? Which is what you had in all of his Westerns. Exactly. So with Amazon and with the internet now, you don't search like that anymore. Now you search author. And so now Dean, you'll find him, if you have enough bandwidth to be able to download all of his books, and look at them all.
Dean said, he ain't giving you them books for free, no shit. You got to pay for them damn things.
No, one of the ideas about that too is you got to be really careful as to what your cover looks like. Make sure your readers are going, oh, that's a science fiction. Oh, that's a romance. Got it. Okay, and that sort of stuff. And then also in your sales copy.
Yeah, your metadata's got to make it clear.
It got to be very clear.
Yeah, because I bought several books because of cover.
Use the same name.
Yeah.
And by the way, people, just because it got a good cover doesn't mean it's a good book. I found that out the hard way. I have unfortunately found that out.
Or the other way around.
Or the other way around. That's true. I've actually bought some crappy covers and turned out to be some really good books. I don't know what to tell you.
It's better to have both.
Yes. Yeah. Well, back in the day, in the traditional day, we had no control. Authors had no control over their covers.
Right.
It was whatever the publisher put on them. And boy, I'll tell you, I had some ugly covers over the days. And then I had some covers that I thought, oh, that's really good. And it didn't sell very well.
You never know. That's weird.
When you've sold, I've sold upwards of 30 million copies of my books are in print in different forms now. And that's the last count. I sort of count every 2 or 3 years. Kevin does that too. Kevin J. Anderson does that too. He kind of counts along, as to what it's doing. But back in the day, back in traditional publishing, which I'm very glad is basically almost dead. Now it's down to 3 or 4 publishers, and you don't want to go there because you lose all your rights as an author. They treat you don't get much money. You can't make a living in traditional publishing anymore like I did.
What is it, like a quarter cent a word now or something?
It's they'll, like I used to get for a Star Trek novel. I wrote 35 Star Trek novels. I used to get upwards of $20,000 to $30,000 a book to write a Star Trek novel. The authors now are getting $4,000 for a full book, and they're taking it because they get to write in Star Trek and they get to have fun. But I'd never. You can't make a living on that.
No, because once you set that, that's where it's going to go. You
can't. It's come down from my day. Like for example, my wife Kristine Kathryn Rusch. She has back then they were really, as John said, they really pigeonholed you, and so she has an incredible series, but it's under the Chris Scott name, and it was Edgar nominated, won lots of awards, numbers and numbers and numbers of novels, but it's under Chris Scott, And so she's kept that name coming into indie publishing because it's a valuable name. It's got lots of, track record and everything else. She also wrote romances, but she did that under Kristine Grayson. And so she has these incredible, I think there's 12, 15 novels now that are Kristine Grayson fun fantasy romance novels. And so she's kept that name too, into indie, where I took all of my sort of sideways names and stuff and just lumped them back into Dean Wesley Smith, republished the books under Dean Wesley Smith, the ones that I owned, and went from there. So I only have one name, but Chris is still writing under 3 or 4 names.
Yeah, but if it's making money, it's a good thing. Helen from Derbyshire, England just wrote in. She wanted to know what the hell is indie publishing. Now, we all know what it is, but I'm kind of surprised that I said, are you a big book reader? Because I would think you would know. But anyway, I'll let Dean explain it to you because you can explain it much better than I do.
Indie publishing is what's occurred. Let me back up and give you 2 seconds of history. Every 50 years, publishing changes. The distribution of how publishing is delivered to the public, stories are delivered, changes. Started back after the Civil War in the United States, we had penny dreadfuls and all of that. And 50 years later, it changed into the pulps. And for 50 years, the pulp magazines delivered most of the commercial fiction. And then that changed in the 1950s and so in early 60s into the paperback, the mass market paperback. You can't find a mass market paperback anymore, but it changed into the mass market paperback. And for 50 years, that was what we now call traditional publishing, the big corporations. There were 1,000 of those publishers. It's now down to 4 that's left. And about 15 years ago, the transition started from mass market delivery system to electronic delivery system. And so we went from penny dreadfuls to the pulps to mass market and now to electronic. And we're in a brand new era of electronic. Well, what happened in the electronic era is it allows authors to be their own publishers, to be independent publishers. And what's grown up around this independent publisher, where the authors are publishing their own work, is that there's massive support systems that now do this. We can deliver our books through BookFunnel. We can, get them instantaneously. We have Shopify stores. We do all of our own everything, including our own covers. We're now in control of our covers, good or bad, as that may be. We're in control of our own sales copy, good or bad, because most writers can't write sales copy. And so, but we're in control of everything. If we make a mistake, it's our mistake. It's not a publisher's mistake. And so that's what we mean by indie. Indie is short for independent publishing. And it is the new world. It will be the dominant structure for the next 50 years in publishing. I have no idea what's coming after that.
What's coming next? AI publishing. That's what's coming next.
I won't be around. I can tell you that.
So, Claire, did that answer your question about self-publishing? Because it's basically the same thing. Did it? Okay. I had like 4 people put up there. Should I self-publish? Should I self-publish? Should I self-publish?
Yes. It's called indie publishing now. It's not self-publishing.
Yeah. See, there you go. That's not the publishing way, people. Oh no! When I finish, I'm sending it to John. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dean.
For the traditional years, those 50 years where it was mass market, there was a subset down there called Vanity Press, and they were always awful, and it was looked down on. And that's where that worry comes from, is the traditional publishers controlled everything, and then there was the few people who bought a whole bunch of books and put them in their garage and couldn't sell them. We don't do that now. We don't buy books ahead of time. We print on demand. If I sell a hardback, it is a person buys one of my hardbacks, it's printed and sent to them directly.
Yeah, I love that.
I never touch it. Nobody ever.
I think that's so great. You just and it just goes to wherever it's going to.
Well, it's also we also have now merchandise. You can have a mug with your book cover on it, or your logo, or your brand. You can do shirts and T-shirts and everything else. You can do, mouse pads, all that stuff. And it's all print on demand. It's all completely done. We never touch it. In fact,
I forgot who we use for that. I think it's Cafe Press we use for that. And we can put anything on any. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as we have rights to it, we can put anything on anything.
That's right.
Matter of fact, for 4 years, the number one seller was a thong with an alien face on it. I'm not kidding you. We must have sold 300,000-400,000.
It's really good thinking.
You just gotta wonder. I mean, but when my manager called me and told me about it, I was like, "What?" She said, "No, really, I thought she was pulling my leg. I really did."
Oh no! And
She
now
said,
it's all print on demand.
Yeah,
Now,
it's all.
now you don't have to warehouse anything. Warehousing is a thing of traditional publishing. It's gone.
Yes,
Nobody warehouses anything.
there's no reason to.
My books get put into warehouses every so often. If I have a book that's selling well, like one of my Cold Poker Gang mysteries or something, Amazon will buy a whole bunch of copies, have them printed, and put them in their warehouses.
Yeah,
But I don't pay for that. I don't do any of that.
and it's their headache. Yeah,
Wanting to ship it to customers quicker. So
this is so much of a better way to do things now.
it's so much better.
It's easier, and plus, a lot of these people, have distributed all over the country. So, publish, bam, it's there.
Wow.
Publish, bam, it's there. Publish, bam, it's there. And I mean, everything now either goes UPS, FedEx, or even special mail and the regular mail. It gets to you within 2 days or so. So,
One other major change is that back in the traditional day, because remember I had 100 and some novels in traditional publishing, and then the next 100 some now have been in the independent world. Back in the day, we only sold North American rights. So nobody in Great Britain or Australia or anything else could get my books unless I sold it to a publisher over there. Now we sell worldwide.
Yep.
We sell completely worldwide. Our market is every English speaking, and then if we put it in other languages, it's the other language market. So we are worldwide versus just a specific area of the world.
The internet is such a great thing.
That's a huge change.
Yes, the way the world is connected up to. I was just telling John before, right as we started the show, this particular show goes out to 80 countries now, and it's just such a nice thing. I mean, and it's really effortless for us. It's just we're available and people tune in, and if they hear about us, they can tune in from anybody. Can tune in from anybody in the world if they want, but it's always a good selling mark. I don't know. I just like the fact that we're connected around the world and you can send anything, because every now and then I get on a kick that I want to sell something. So it's a nice thing. What's that, Clara? Wait, what? I don't know. We've never asked Dean how many books he had. He'd never told us. We've been talking about it tonight, but he's never said I got like 300 or 500 or 1,000. Why you want to know? Oh, y'all taking bets on how many books he's got? Well, wait, I want a piece of action now. Wait a minute. If we're going to be betting about this, I want a piece of action here. I'm the damn host. Wait, what? So anyway, go ahead.
You want to know how many books I have approximately?
Yeah.
I'm up around 800.
Whew, 900. Lord have mercy. I don't even know how to bleep you even do.
And that's under Asimov's way of dealing with books.
Right.
I have to have my name on it. I have to have a major part in it. I either edited it or I wrote it.
So are we typing? Are we typing on a computer, typing typewriter, or are we just writing? Because every now and then I meet an author that likes to still write by hand, which still weirds me out a little bit.
No, right? Well, I can't put that hand up. That shoulder right there. See that computer that's sideways right there?
Yes,
that's my writing computer.
Oh,
it has no internet on it. It has nothing on it. It has a Word program on it, and that's it. And that chair behind me going that way is my writing chair. And when I sit in that chair, all I do is write fiction. On this computer here that I'm on, I write nonfiction and do all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very, very, very sequestered. My writing is when I sit down in that chair back there and pull up to that computer that way. I basically, I'm just writing. I don't do anything else. And there's like a switch in my head that turns on. If writers out there, if you do not have your own dedicated writing computer, get one. They're cheap. Writing computers are cheap these days.
They are.
Get a writing computer, put nothing on it. Keep the games off of it. Keep the internet off of it. Keep everything. I use little thumb drives. When I finish a story, I get a thumb drive and bring it up to this computer here and load it into the cloud. But otherwise,
well, guys, see, he's doing it the right way. If you're like the computer I'm on right now, I only use for broadcasting. The other computers on the side of me are used for a lot of different things, but it's easily to get distracted if you have the internet little bubbles popping up on your screen or something, or you got a little game that's trying to tease you, come
Yeah.
play me, come play me. See, that's distracting, and if you don't have all that shit, you're just going to do what you're there for. You're just
Yep.
going to sit there and write it. No, I think that's absolutely perfect, because if you ever come in the studio here, you'll notice that computers are segmented off for different things, and it's the reason they are, so I don't get distracted. Because I'm like a child sometimes. A little game pop up and it's, oh wait, what's this? And next thing I know, I'm 45 minutes down the line. I've done wasted looking at some stupid ass game. No, guys. Dean told me last time we were talking, just this past year, I was asking him about something because I was stuck on something, and he said, just go write the damn thing. That's exactly how he said it, and it actually worked real well for me. I am
blunt.
No, that was, but so am I. So that's a good thing. It actually worked real well for me, and whatever was holding me back there for them first 2 days just went away, and I got out another, I think, almost 15,000 words. So, well, for me, it's different, guys. I can't do like that. So when it hits me, when the urge hits me, I just until my fingers stop. Then I'm done, and I can't write at home. I don't know why. And it's not even that, because my house is very quiet when everybody's calm here. I don't know. It's just not the right setup. It's easy when I'm around y'all because it's just a lot of motivation, especially with all the winners and all running around, talking about it. It's just easier for some reason for me. But still, I have managed to get some writing out.
Got to get everybody to get into Writers of the Future.
Yeah, we tell them all the time. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. It's what is it, Carolyn? No, I have told y'all. Okay, writerthefutures.com. Okay, if you want to go, if you want to get in, if you want to submit, or you want to join the course or any of those things, writerthefutures.com. If you want to buy anything, galaxypress.com. They're easy to find, and both the sites are easy to navigate. They're really easy to navigate. They're well put together, so they're easy to navigate.
And if you go to writersoffuture.com, you'll also, if you look at writer judges, you'll see Dean in there, but you'll see the history of our writer judges. It's literally, it's been a who's who of, he's talking about, at the beginning, but the guy that wrote Dune, his son is a judge now, but he was one of the first judges. Mm-hmm. And Orson Scott Card, I'm going to be logging off shortly because I have to set up for that. I'm doing a live 2-hour Q&A with Scott Card in just a couple of hours. I'm setting it for that.
8:00, right? Central Time.
That'll be different.
Caffrey was a judge. What's that? What, Dean?
I said that'll be different than me. Scott and I are very diametrically opposed.
Yes, y'all are definitely different.
I mean,
that's a good thing, though.
I've known Scott since '82, when he was one of my instructors at Clarion, and he was a young Turk.
Yeah.
Back then, and I was just coming in, and we have different approaches to writing, so that'll be interesting for readers to follow.
That's one thing I've learned talking to all of y'all. Most of the judges I've met are we'll just say different in the way they look at things,
which is what makes Writers of the Future so cool. We don't have
it does.
This is how you write. Dean, you're like Mr. Indie, and then you got Scott, who's definitely the traditional, and you've got Tim Powers that takes a year or more to put together a book, and you do a book a month,
or two or three.
Yeah.
Kevin solved his problem of like what you did. We solved the problem of losing rights, to his books and not being able to come out there. He's created his own publishing house, like what you did, because the big traditional publishers wouldn't do it. And you're running into the thing too. If you put a book out there and it sells 1,000, and then the next book sells 900, that's all they're going to take in. It keeps on reducing down, and no matter what you do, it just keeps on shrinking.
One of the nice things about independent publishing is that when I sell a book in my Shopify store, I get basically 92 or 3% of the total income. If I sell a book through Amazon or Kobo or D2D or anywhere around the world, I tend to get 70%.
That's still better than a lot of people.
If I have a percentage of a royalty coming in from traditional publishing, it's between 9 and 12%.
Jesus.
And so there's a lot of difference between that 9 and 12% and 70% or 95%.
Right.
And that makes that's why there's a lot of very rich indie writers right now. And there are nobody's starting to make a living now, except maybe Colleen Hoover. She's broken in, and there was one other that have broken in the last couple of years. But otherwise, you don't see anybody breaking in. It's lottery. You got to win the lottery to win in traditional publishing. You just have to be a hard worker in indie publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to be willing to do this stuff, because basically there's the various hats involved in publishing you need to take on yourself, or to connect up with yourself or Kevin, where you have your own publishing houses if you're willing to take on somebody else. And again, they're gonna have to give up a piece of the pie.
We have an entire office building of employees in Lincoln City, Oregon, and it's me and Chris, and they can barely keep up with us.
I bet. Because y'all write like mad people.
He takes on several authors, and he also has been a resource for the old authors that no longer have a voice or chance to get a voice. So he'll republish some of the masters.
Oh yeah,
he'll do it, which is a good thing that he does that.
Well, and he's teaching at Colorado too.
Yeah,
that publishing program, which is actually Kevin J. Anderson we're talking about here, and his associate professor is Allison Longuera, who is our publisher at WMG. So Wordfire Press and WMG are teaching a how to be a publisher program at Colorado, and most of it's online, and it's a master's program. It's a really good program if you want to become a publisher. And I would highly recommend looking up Kevin's website. Or you can get a lot of this stuff if you can come to my website, which is deanwesleysmith.com, and ask me questions there.
If y'all watching us on TV right now, you can see his website scrolling by on the bottom.
There it is.
Yeah. We put it. We always put y'all's websites up so people can find you. Hell no, Steve. What? No. The only way you can do that, Steve, you want to meet him in person. Well, you better hope he's at a book signing, or if you could win Writers of the Future, then you could meet him. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to go to Superstars this year, but I have it's right here. I now have a brand new titanium shoulder and part of this arm.
Wow.
I was running a
5K,
and I was running a little too fast.
Oh shit!
And I hit a lip and went down rolled into the fall. And instead of hitting my head, I hit my shoulder, rolled into the fall, and completely smashed the shoulder. And that was a couple months ago. I had surgery, and I'm now in PT.
Yeah,
that's why you don't see.
Yeah, so I'll be there at Superstars in a month, and then a few days later is Life, the Universe, and Everything, LTUE, and this is their big anniversary, number 42, which is the answer to the ultimate question of the universe is 42. Yeah. So that's their.
Oh shit! I forgot about that. I forgot all about that stupid movie.
That's people, that's good. Yeah,
it's been a long time since I've seen that too. What y'all got a couple questions. What was it? So Randy, where are you writing in from? Seattle, Washington. Well, what? Just write the question out. So finish right now. I'll see you typing. What is it? So Randy says he's published a couple of books. He's made a little bit of money. He said like last year he made about $45,000 selling books. He's asking, is there any shortcuts to self-publishing? Is there any ways to get your book known faster? Seen? Yeah, if you got a lot of money, it's called advertisement. Go give the TV station some money. That's not going to help you any.
Yeah, no, you need to become a better storyteller. So you need to take craft classes on how to become a better storyteller. That's the real bottom line. It's being a storyteller so that people read one of your books and say, oh, I want more of that author. And think of it this way. If you only have 2 books, imagine yourself as a store down on the corner of Main Street in your town. And you have a customer walk through the door and you've only got 2 things in your store. What does the customer do? They go in and they turn around and go back out. You have to fill the shelves in your store. And that means you got to write a lot. It takes time. This is, and what's really interesting is that so many people say, well, this is an international profession and I'm going to be a good enough writer and I'm going to give it a year. And I'm thinking, it takes 7 years to become a little local attorney.
I know.
It takes 8 or 9 years just to become a little local doctor. This is an international profession. It takes time. You got to learn how to write better stories so that people come to your work and find your work. And then you have to have enough work that you can continue selling it.
Which is that philosophy of 20 books to 50K, that conference that you helped teach at in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's the basis of that. 20 books, 20 major books to $50,000 a year. 20 to 50. That's the theory on that.
I just interviewed Judith Anderley yesterday for the podcast. She'll be up next week. Mm-hmm. She and Michael.
How did that go?
She's awesome. We're able to talk about the legal side of stuff and how to protect your rights and stuff, and how to deal with AI and what does it actually mean and this type of stuff. So it was a good interview.
You don't even want to talk about the chat GTP with professional writers, because, like, for example, I quit counting when I got to 29 of my books that were stolen by chat GTP.
Oh, I have a big argument with this shit going on.
And I could have gone up into the hundreds, and it's so. I hate it when people steal my stuff and try to make money off of my stuff. I like it when people read my stuff. I give a lot of stuff away. That's not a problem. But they didn't come to me and ask my permission, just like they didn't go to Nora Roberts and they didn't go to Grisham. That's why all the lawsuits. One big concern, folks, on ChatGTP is most of you probably aren't young enough or not old enough to remember Napster.
I remember Napster. I got a lot of stuff off of Napster.
Napster was a thief. They stole.
Were they?
Like ChatGPT does. They stole it, and then it was on computers. Well, the only way they could stop Napster was they had to, under copyright infringement, they went right through Napster and to the consumer. Well, ChatGTP and all of their miscellaneous organizations are basically bankrupt at this point in time. They're going to go down quick when it happens, and the lawsuits are coming. There's a tsunami of them that are already filed and are just waiting, because this is pure copyright theft to train what they did. Now, I have no problem with AI. I think AI is going to be way cool in all kinds of different areas.
Yeah,
but where the authors are complaining is they came and stole our stuff, pure theft, to train it. And so, and it's like, no. If you'd have come and asked permission, paid us a small fee, we'd all said yes.
Guy Dean.
We'd all said
yes. In a second. Sounds like it's in. Oh, there
but
it is.
They didn't. They just stole it. So what's going to happen with ChatGPT is when the lawsuits hit and the billions of dollars of damages, which ChatGPT cannot pay, they'll go into bankruptcy. The only way to stop this is they're going to go through the computers to the people who have ChatGPT on their computers, and they're going to find them with copyright infringement. Now, I know you'll say, that's not fair. Well, get ChatGPT off of your computer.
Yeah, well, if it's a Fed, they'll give you like a 30-day warning, like they did with Naps, and say, look.
No, they'll just come through because it's copyright infringement. You stole my work. Don't steal authors' works. Write your work.
Well, it's funny because when you ask it to make you a story, you can tell. Well, let me rephrase that. So Jeff Wine and I was playing around with this one day, and since then, several of other authors have been on, and we've played with this a few times. The problem is, first off, you can tell when you ask for a particular story, you can tell it's someone else's work. I mean, you just get the sense. But it's even worse than that, because sometimes it'll take three authors and try to meld them together, and it comes out to this. The only way I can say is a heap of shit.
Anything good.
No, it doesn't, and it's just. I have seen it do some good magazines, though.
This is one area where AI is failing at the moment. It probably will become a good tool for us down the road, but they got to clean out all this infringement, this copyright infringement, because we all live on copyright. Mm-hmm. We all license our copyrights, and you can't have some major company just wholeheartedly stealing it, and so to make money. And luckily, they're not making money. They're going down fast. They're really in trouble. And so the reality is that don't do that, and watch these lawsuits. Watch these copyright lawsuits as they hit. The Authors Guild, with some of the biggest names in the industry behind it, have sued them. And that's only one of maybe 500 lawsuits.
I think I got 10,000 videos off of Napster. Easy, probably
Mhm.
100,000 songs. Easy. It's
Did they come through for you?
no, they didn't bother me at all.
They
It's
didn't?
no, it's well, because at first off, I don't think a lot of stuff. I think a lot of the stuff we had was under free usage act, but and being that I'm in the media, it's a little harder to mess with me because I also pay a couple of different things that I pay for. So I actually can use a lot of people's material without having to worry about it.
Napster was a real interesting shot across the bow,
It was
which stopped copyright infringement at wholehearted levels
it was a
for a
nightmare,
long
is what it
time.
was.
But it seems the people who started ChatGTP
Well, they used
literally
to have a guy.
Well, the thing that was also said yesterday when I talked to Judith Anderley was that copyright law hasn't changed. It's still the same copyright
is
law.
the
It
same
is still
copyright.
the
So, yeah.
same law.
Same law.
It
As-
hasn't changed.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and AI, I'm a big fan of AI in general and in other areas.
Yeah,
We just got to
it's
get
both
this.
uses.
We got to get this one bad apple out of the equation, and then if an AI program, like for example, the Adobe, on what they're doing with the artists, they have been going to the artists. Their AI program, they've been going to the artists and getting licenses from the artists and getting permission and paying the artists. And so Adobe is doing it the way it should have been
The right
done
way.
from the beginning. And so, Adobe, there's things, just be careful, everybody. Just be careful.
Yeah, just because there's gonna be a lot of stuff come down with all this
Yeah.
before it's all said and done.
Just be careful. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you don't want to be on the wrong end of that
Yeah.
notice of copyright infringement.
Yes, Frida, I do remember him. He used to do the premiere movies and put them out on Napster the same day. Yeah, I love that guy. Whatever it was, I mean, it was. I don't know how he did it. He would get into every premiere and he would put it up on that. This guy was great. Oh yes, I probably still got some of it. No, I don't. I got rid of that computer. Never mind. It's it was though theft. That's the only way you could say it. Because I mean,
Oh, completely.
we had so many songs now, and this is what was so funny. So YouTube tells me one day, because I had like 78,000 songs in one of my lists over there, and it goes, you can't download that to your computer. I'm like, I'm not trying to download it because YouTube can be played anywhere. Why would you want to download and keep all that information? And they're like, because that would be a copyright infringement. And I'm like, really? I said, I can download anything off of YouTube. Why can't I download this? Their point is I couldn't do 78,000 at one time. Like anybody was going to do that in the first place. YouTube has gotten a little weird lately. I mean, plus they've gotten really touchy about what you can put on there. I know there's a bunch of lawsuits against them now about freedom of speech and stuff like that. So we'll see where all that ends up. What is that? What is that?
Watch the copyright lawsuits.
Yes, keep an eye on.
That's where the world's heading.
What do you mean, Martha? You're talking about AI for art. First off, before y'all even go any further with the AI, you can't submit anything AI to Writers of the Future. It's not allowed.
That's right.
Right.
Can't submit
Yeah,
it.
we had a thing come up
either.
a few weeks ago where it came up that someone had won the contest, and then they were doing the illustrator winners then are given the writer winners, and then they have to illustrate the winning story. And it came up that Echo Chernick, the coordinating judge, had this one illustrator that was illustrating one of the stories and challenged them on it, like, is this AI? And it came up that it was AI they were using. They weren't painting, they were using AI. So the person was disqualified, and we announced a new winner. But you can actually still tell. Maybe 10 years, 15 years from now, he's not going to be able to. But right now, there's different ways you can actually tell. And there's also apps you can use that can also dig into it. And if worse comes to worse, all you do is just say, okay, show me your earlier progression files so I can see that you actually were working on this to make the final painting. And then technically you did also for a story too. If someone has something before they do the final edit and proofread.
Paint that in oil for me, buddy. I'll believe you there.
People will try to game it, but that's not what the purpose of the contest. Our contest is to be able to find and discover the new voices and the new talents. Doing it the old way.
They'll never let it through. Jody will never let it through.
Yeah.
Jody could spot an AI.
Oh yeah. It's. I mean, some of this stuff is really easy to spot. I mean, some of it might be better than others, but a lot of it's easy to spot. A friend of mine wanted that. He asked for, what was it? A kangaroo fighting a dog, and it gave him a 5-legged kangaroo and a 3-eyed dog. I was like, really? Nowhere in there did he ask for any of that. The AI just put it together that way for some reason. You just don't know what they're going to do. Maurice, no, we just said that there's nothing allowed to Writers of the Future that's AI.
Nothing. And same with my magazine, Pulp House. I'm not open for submissions, and at all, and never will be. But because I read Slush in the past, I'm not reading Slush ever again.
Been there, done that.
But the reality is that we won't take it, and we have in our contracts that you warrant that you did not use AI on the story for our writers and for the different stuff. And so it's
just write, people. Use your damn imagination and write. You don't need a damn AI for that. I did like what the gaming company said though recently, that they were going to go ahead and try AI out both for writing and for imaging, but they wanted to keep their authors and their illustrators to make sure that AI is doing exactly what. So their thought is they're going to let the AIs, the authors and the illustrators run everything. This way it'll just get produced faster, but it'll still be the same quality as if the author or the illustrator was doing it themselves. Yeah, we're going to see about this.
Well, John and I are going, no.
That's what I was listening to it going, we're going to see how this works out, man. We'll see how this goes. Oh, man. Sometimes the bullshit you got to listen to is
the only way you're going to get a Larry Elmore is to get a Larry Elmore.
Yeah, and that's the truth, isn't it? I mean, that's the truth. But that's the thing. Like I said, doing oil. Well, Larry's got oils. So does Echo. I mean, a lot of the big artists I talk to have oils at home, so you can actually tell they're real artists. They're not wannabes. What do you mean a wannabe author? I wouldn't know what a wannabe author is. You mean somebody who just writes something and it's worthless? I imagine there's a lot of those in the world.
Well, there's 4 million books published in 2023. It came out an article that in 2022 there was 4 million books that were published. 1 million were actually made any type of money at all, and that type of money, the average author, I think, was making $500 a year. So it takes, there's a lot of people, maybe that's what we're talking about, wannabes, but it takes work, like Dean was saying. Like if you think you're gonna I'll give it a year, who are you kidding? You're willing for. It's like someone who's to be a rock star. Okay, I got a guitar, so I'm going to go take a lesson. I'm going to go be a rock star on stage. It's like, no, you need to work up that. It's like any in the profession too. Just because you write a book doesn't mean now all of a sudden you got a living. You need to really work.
Isn't that the truth? Guys, I got 8 minutes to get a question in. So if y'all want to get one in, y'all better get one in. I keep seeing London, but I don't see any questions. No, you can buy Dean's books anywhere in the world. No, like he said earlier in the show, this isn't the old world. This is the new world. And you could buy, it doesn't matter. You could be in Ukraine right now and get a damn book. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. I hate to say you could be in Ukraine right now and get a book. Then go on to Amazon, order a book. It'd probably be there in 3 days. Mm-hmm. Hell, if Amazon got it the street, might be.
Amazon or Kobo. Kobo does good international.
Yeah, Kobo, yeah.
We're all over the world. We're in, I think we reach about 85% of the English-speaking population of the world. We're still having trouble getting into India. That's a tough market to crack.
Yeah, because they're funny over there.
But boy, there's some good money there. But we have inroads a little bit here and there. You just go to our actually anywhere. The place to buy Kristine and my books and all the other projects we've done is WMG, which is the name of our publishing company, WMGbooks.com. WMGbooks.com, and there's over 1,000 titles there, and more being added all the time because we haven't caught up yet to where we are. Plus, we're writing new stuff, and plus there's all kinds of cool stuff like mugs and products and pillows.
Somebody go ahead and buy me a damn mug, people. Damn. Y'all, this audience is tight. Y'all need to come off. I need a mug. I need one look I can put right here and drink my coffee while I'm on air. Yeah, I want one that says, I want one with Dean's face on it, man. What y'all talking about?
Oh, no, we don't do that. But we have really cool logos.
Look, I got your image. I'll go make my own cup and send it to you.
You don't want my face on anything.
Harper, is that what your name is? Harper, where are you calling from? Sydney. Jesus. What time is it over there? What is it, evening?
Copyright's the same all over the world because of the Berne Convention.
So you wait, what? Rewrite that. That was jibber jabber. Christian, I'll ask you a question because that whatever the hell that was jibber jabber. Christian's actually from Hawaii. She says she lives on the Big Island, and she said, "How do you write so many books a year and still do everything else? And does your wife mind you always writing and not talking to her. I said, she don't talk to her? See, that was just rude. Go ahead, Dean. I'll let you answer that.
She was just over here.
I know. I was thinking that just a minute ago.
Off camera here.
I seen her too.
Anyway, my wife is Kristine Kathryn Rusch, and she's written as many books as I have, and she writes under many other names. And so we are two writers in a 2-story condo in downtown Las Vegas, and basically that's all we do. We eat and we write. And
you run. You do 5Ks.
We do 5Ks. Yep, we do a lot to try to keep in shape. That's the real key with writing. Yes. Is you've got to stay in physical shape, and even with accidents, shoulder accidents, you really got to stay in shape. And so we do a lot of walking. We walk to lunches and dinners, but we live in Vegas too.
Yeah, it's a lot to do in Vegas.
Our bad months are June, July, August, and September because it's too hot.
Yeah. Same for us. Not as hot as y'all are,
but everything's indoors here anyhow. We have indoor tracks, indoor everything. So we stay in good physical shape and we write. And
there's a lot of beautiful country in Vegas. And of course, if you always just want to go get in trouble, Area 51 is only 90 minutes away. So you should go down there and write a book at Area 51.
I drive to Writers of the Future.
Yeah, well, I can see that because I've stayed in Vegas a few times and drove out to LA. I didn't find it to be that bad of a drive. What was it, like 4 hours or something?
Yeah, I was just there last month in December for the Stetson Country Christmas, and we didn't quite connect up this year. We did the last year, but
I was still in slings when you were here.
I
had a sling on my arm and wasn't doing too well getting out.
But it gave me an opportunity. I love it when I go out there. I get a chance to. That's the one time a year I get to wear my cowboy hat and cowboy boots. I love it. I love it for that.
Yeah.
It was quite a deal.
Yeah. All right, guys. I got one more question. We got like 2 minutes. We got to go. We only stayed over a little bit because usually we do a 2 hours on Saturday, but it was a kind of crazy Saturday, so we only had it scheduled for an hour. What is your question? Where first off, where are you? Brazil. Well, hello down there in Brazil. Are you like one of the old Mayan, Incans, or Aztecs? Toltecs, right? That's who was down there, the Toltecs. Anyway, what's your question? Oh, okay. Oh, no, that's a good. So she just wants to know who is your own personal favorite writer, or she said your own personal favorite author and your favorite movie is actually what she wrote.
Yeah, favorite author?
Yeah, that's.
I have to be dead honest with you. My favorite author is standing about 5 feet from me over here, Kristine Kathryn Rusch. And
go, Kristine! I'm sorry.
I get to read all of her books first, and I'm a fan of all of her series. And she has a new Fabe novel that I just read that's sitting on the table out here in our big office complex here, and it stands about, how tall is that? About 2.5 feet. Manuscript. She's giving me the dirty look. Favorite movie? It depends on what time of the year.
That's mood for me, man. I couldn't do a favorite movie.
I'm much more of a, like in the fall I watch Lifetime holiday movies. Other times I watch thrillers. It's whatever.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Along.
For about 20 years, my favorite movie was White Christmas. I just loved that. I watched it every year, and it was so good. It was just.
I watched a lot of stupid Christmas movies.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Christmas movies.
I was kind of like, okay,
romantic at heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that, Denise? Wait, real quick. Where are you at? Oh, not Derbyshire. What is it? I know what you're saying. Anyway, it's where Doctor Who's filmed, or where it used to be filmed. Jay. I know what you're talking about. Anyway, what's your question? So you're a dumbass. You know that. I'm going to ask him. You're a dumbass. So I can't. Never mind. I can't. We're going to get out of here.
Go ahead. Ask me.
I can't stop.
Go ahead,
laughing.
Joe. You're like.
So first off, she goes, I know he's married because I see his wife in the background. She must be really good because she takes really good care of him. And it's nice to see a woman who actually still loves her husband after X amount of time. I was like, okay. I'm like, what does that got to do with the question? And then she goes, well, which one of y'all is the better writer? I was like,
Chris.
oh shit.
Chris, far and away.
See,
No,
there you go.
That's not even a hard question.
Oh,
That's an
man.
automatic. Chris is by far the better writer.
It's
Always has been, always will be. I am more commercial and do different weird ass stuff. Chris stays to her heart, to her to what makes her, and that's why she's a better writer. Where I, for a long time, I was, I'll write anything. Kind of Kevin Anderson and I were pretty much in the same boat for a long time. If someone offered us a project, we'd say, sure. Okay. So,
but work is work, man. You know that. I mean, as a contract, I can feel that because you got to work when you got to work. Man.
I don't do that anymore. I follow.
No, because you're comfortable now. You don't have to.
I don't need to. Hey, John, say hello to Scott for me.
I definitely will. Absolutely.
Pop it. Anything else you want to plug before you got anything you plug in or anything you want to let go?
No, just come to my website and look at some. And if you're interested in writing, we have a lot of classes we built over the last 15 years. A lot of classes.
Go check them out.
For writers. They're for writers. And we also do Kickstarters about 6-8 times a year.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Somebody early in the show asked what a Kickstarter was, and I forgot to ask the question.
Oh, it's just basically through Kickstarter.com. And we put up books. Like, for example, starting on Tuesday, we have 100 short stories in 5 volumes, 50 of Chris's and 50 of mine. And basically, it's called Hearts Collide. And it's a 50, we're half of her stories, half of my stories. And we are doing it as a Kickstarter. And you can get 100 short stories by backing that Kickstarter. And also it has some workshops in it, and it has different things like that. So, well, I am ready for another appointment right now.
Yes, get on out of here, man. Get out of here. I appreciate you staying over with us.
Okay, you got to kick me off because I wouldn't have a clue.
Oh, I'll toss you.
Hello, Chris. Okay, he's gone.
Well, he will be gone in a minute. There he is. Boom. Now he's gone. Now we done kicked him to the curb. That was Dean Wesley Smith, guys and girls. To whoever asked that other question, you can always go eat at the barbecue with him if you win Writers of the Future. You can sit out there and have barbecue with him, and he knows a lot of stuff. Actually, the last 2 years, most of the questions I heard asked him wasn't so much about being an author. It was about running, how he ran his business and how did he get to where he was. Well, he's got a lot of knowledge about that. And, if you got enough books, you can go there. Yes, you do. But all I can tell you is submit. No, you can submit 4 times a year. Who told you that? No, you can submit 4 times. What do you mean? I don't think you can send 10 books at one time.
No, it's once per quarter.
Yeah. I don't see. Y'all get some bad information.
Rules there.
Yes. RiseOfTheFuture.com. Click. But we get ready to get out of here. Emily's about to hurt John. Linda's about to hurt me. We don't want to see no blood on the TV sets or anything. This is not a horror show. Look, guys and girls, I'm glad everybody's starting to find the author's Quill. I see we were over 400,000 again today, so that makes me real happy. 80-something countries makes me real happy. So what I want to see y'all do, I want to start seeing y'all click. Because really and truly, this is probably going to be the only show we're going to be able to sell books on, because I've noticed We've run book sales for 5 different groups now, and I've seen just nil. I mean, some sales, but just pathetic. I've seen other things selling this network, bam, but for some reason, books doesn't seem to be one of the things. So this show should help with that, because most of the people coming here will be people who are interested in authors. Yes, we're just compacting it for y'all, so you don't have to go fishing all over the network for who you're looking for. And because I've had people scream at me about having authors on UFO on the cover, and I got somebody the other day said, why aren't you talking to this guy? Why aren't you doing the damn news? I was like, so this way it's all compressed in one place. Yes. I will be in LA a couple of days this year. So if you want to holler at me, if you've got my personal phone number or my email, you can get hold of me that way. If you don't, you're probably not going to get hold of me. That means you're not a friend of mine. I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to get hold of me. Well, I'm just being honest, man. I don't want to lie to anybody. Yeah. No, but really, we got to go. We got to go. What do you mean? No, John's married. So why y'all always ask me if John's married? He got a good wife at home. Yeah, she's the boss anyway. Yeah, she's the boss. No, she's a sweetie pie. I love to pick on her. One day she's just gonna punch me. I love to pick on her. Her and Sarah are my 2 favorite people to pick on. No, we got to go.
Are you coming to the Scott Card thing tonight?
Yes, I am. So just
the link, so you've got it.
Yeah, I got the link in there. If you think about it, like 10 minutes before, I know you're going to be busy, but try to pop me a link. I'm gonna
Okay.
put it on. I'm gonna put it on Alexa. It's 8 o'clock my time, right?
Correct.
Alexa, set alarm for 7:50 p.m.
Alarm set for 7.
We'll take care of that problem right now.
Okay, good.
Before I go, I'm going to let you go. We've been using Alexa has become a TV star with us now. She's been being used on the news show from time to time. Somebody's like, was that Alexa? I said, yeah, it was Alexa. I said, I'm not going to get up and I'm not going to take the time to go through my computer. I just ask Alexa. Oh, that's just too much. But anyway, guys and girls, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the Author's Quill with John and I. And I hope everybody had a good time. Remember, John's on Mondays at 4 p.m. So you can catch him there. He's as a matter of fact, last week's show just aired before this show today. So y'all can catch it there. And of course, it's always an archive on all of our archive sites. On that note, good evening, good afternoon, and I will see y'all Wednesday. Stay tuned for whoever's next. Oh, the Gray Zone. Good night, everyone.